Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. We are kicking off the first of a handful of interviews with members of the 501st community. We have with us today a wonderful cosplayer. You may have seen him around as Jango Fett, Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, coolest Darth Vader cosplayer. Actually, only Darth Vader cosplayer I know, so I can say that. But please welcome Noah Maurer.
Hey everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no, I mean it's an absolute blast. I've been watching y'all for a little while now, and you've got some really great stuff. Really hot start, which is impressive because in the podcast world, it's really hard to get going. You guys have already swung for the fences full speed, so it's really cool to see the growth that you guys have early on.
Yeah, I mean, with the YouTube, I definitely agree because that we started with the theory interview. But yeah, I mean, we've been doing the podcast for years and years. I feel like it was just the last 2-3 months that all of a sudden it was like a whole rebrand kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about it. And I'm excited we're doing a lot more interviews lately. So I'm very excited about that. It's fun to get to talk to everybody and hear, different stories from people in the community. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I want to start out, because this is the first 501st episode we're doing, just asking you to give a rundown of what the 501st is and what y'all do for people who aren't very familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. So if you haven't, especially if you're in the costume club community or not even costume club, if you're in the cosplay community and you haven't heard of us, the 501st Legion is a Star Wars specific costume club. And it's technically free to join. There's no membership. There's nothing like that. The only cost, and this is an astronomical one at that, is building or buying your own costume. Now, the 501st has a costume reference library where you have to build a costume to their set of screen-accurate standards. And once you've done that, a local judge will then approve or disapprove you. And then from that point, pretty much the entirety of what the club does revolves around your experience on a state level. The 501st Legion definitely prides itself in being a group that focuses on charity, but charity, if that's not your thing, that's not something that you're required to do. You can really volunteer. It's all volunteer. You can do whatever you want with the club. You can pretty much do whatever you want with your costume as long as it's within their guidelines. But they're a really, really great source. If you're a Star Wars fan and you're that dedicated to the costuming side of things, it's a really great resource for people to get to know other Star Wars fans who are that dedicated on a crazy level.
Wow, that was a great rundown. That was.
Hit play.
When did you first get into, not the 501st, but cosplaying? What started that for you?
It's so weird because this is going to sound really funny to me, but when I first initially thought of the idea of getting into this whole world, I think I was only 6 or 7 years old. I had been a Star Wars fan for a while at this point, thanks to Lego Star Wars Complete Saga, Battlefront, you can see it on my hoodie, and my mom who had introduced me to Star Wars early on. Now, I'm from Wisconsin, and I had gone to some library event where I actually think it was a Timothy Zahn book signing, and I was walking around, and this life-sized, amazing-looking Darth Vader, especially even at the time, was walking around and greeting people and taking pictures. And to me as a kid, I literally was like, oh my God, that's Darth Vader. And that feeling had stuck with me and had never left. Wanting to get into this hobby as a whole, it costs a lot of money, as I've mentioned before. And so when you're a high school kid, middle school, blah, 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 you just don't have the funds to do that. But wanting to join the 501st throughout my entire life from that moment had always stuck with me because I had asked my mom, who are these guys? What are they like? What's going on here? Why is Darth Vader in my library? And so once I had finally gotten access to adult funds, I had just recently joined the Air Force. I was about 20 years old. And I was bored at Disney World, and I should have gone Darth Vader for my first costume, but that's not what happened. I was walking around at Disney World, and at the time, they were selling this Anovos brand Kylo Ren helmet, which, to Star Wars costumers, if you're not buying it from a private seller, Anovos has a reputation for being mostly screen accurate. That Kylo Ren helmet was on sale for $750 at Galaxy's Edge, and I had at the time, just recently gotten access to a lot of adult money, and I was very excited, and I was feeling ridiculous, and I walked home with that helmet on my head on the plane from that trip. And when I got home, I had seen, I was just fascinated because I love the costume. I wasn't crazy about the sequels or even just that character at the time, but something about Kylo Ren's appearance in Force Awakens, especially when he comes off that shuttle for the first time, I thought it was just an incredible costume. And so I joined a Facebook group. I had done some research. I had dropped maybe about 3-4 grand on the costume within like a span of 6 months. And after
Oh,
that,
wow.
that was that. I had submitted all of my pictures through my local garrison in Louisiana, where I was living then at that time, and I got approved instantly. The problem was when I had first joined the 501st, it was just after COVID had broken out. And so the world was shut down. We definitely didn't have a lot of troops going on. And so the first year that I was in the 501st, I didn't even really feel like I was actually in because we had so little going on. And Louisiana was also an incredibly small garrison. Just in Orlando here right now, we have about 250 people. In the entire state of Louisiana, we had 40. And so it was an extremely small group. So it was just a combination of COVID plus not a lot of volunteering, and there just wasn't much going on. In regards to the whole cosplay aspect of things, it was kind of funny. When I first thought about joining the hobby, I'm not a fan of anime by any means, and to people who aren't in that community, sometimes the word cosplay can come into a negative connotation, especially because you think of anime cosplayers who act out or act weird in public and conventions, and then it's just this whole devolvation. I've even heard some people refer to Chewbacca like cosplayers as furries, and so I was very all like, I'm gonna join this hobby, but I'm not gonna be one of those people, which was kind of rude for me to think of at the time. But I definitely shouldn't have been so intimidated by public perception, especially because I learned very quickly that cosplay, whether it's been Darth Vader or Jango, Fett, or even Kylo, has given me a lot of amazing opportunity, a lot of great friends. People who are a lot more normal than I ever thought they would be.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. When we first started doing cons, it was like 2.5 years ago, maybe. I didn't expect we'd make any friends with anyone at a con. Like, that just wasn't on the table. We were just going to, like, meet the celebrities that we wanted to meet. And so now, like, in retrospect, years later, it's weird that, like, the majority of our friends are from the con community and, like, people we've met through there. And, like, we hang out, throughout the week and things. It's so strange looking back. It is a really, really cool community.
It's very tight-knit. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
It is mixed with those interesting people, though, that you're talking about. Because you're at a Comic-Con, you definitely see them. So it's funny that even though you're, in such a strange environment, I guess you could say, it's cool to have such cool friends.
What I'm grateful, at least for, I don't even want to say necessarily the groups, but since Star Wars has become more mainstream, there's a lot more people that it's reached. And because of that, it's also become a lot more normal, and cosplay isn't as taboo as it maybe would have been even pre-Force Awakens or at that point. Star Wars is definitely mainstream entertainment now, and having that type of reach, it is mostly a good thing. It's got its few downsides for sure, but it's become a lot more normalized, and I think cosplay and just that as a hobby has gotten a lot more respect, which I'm super grateful for. And that's why I think there are a lot more normal people in the hobby as opposed where maybe 10, 20 years ago it was just straight weirdos.
A lot of resources, too, nowadays, I'm seeing. So
There's a lot.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think one of the coolest things is, like you said, just the unexpectedness of it. Just how we went to this con not expecting to meet anybody, and we even left not really knowing anyone. But then
we didn't meet anybody.
But we
were
like
there.
connected later over Instagram, and then like by the next con, we're seeing people that we like met, and just now we have so many friends, and so I think just the unexpectedness of it is just what's so fun.
Yeah, when it comes to conventions, I'll be honest, and this is definitely a hot take, I really hate conventions just for the aspect of I feel like most of the merchandise that you'd find there is like, it's a flea market for nerds. It's usually overpriced. It's not very high quality, unless you have some sellers selling vintage stuff, but even that, then it's uppriced. Certain celebrity interactions, like I said, I'm not really a big fan of paying a few $100s for just a few seconds of interaction with them. There's certain celebrities that I'll even throw away that rule for, but my favorite part about conventions, and I think the most important thing to me, is the amount of people that you come across, whether it be from social media or just other people in the hobby, it is the greatest place to network and make friends and just expand your group. And then sometimes reunite with old friends who are either traveling from other places. It's just a great meetup, and that's primarily what I care about conventions for. None of the other stuff, none of the celebrity greets, the merchandise. It's just an amazing time to meet friends.
I feel like that's become the most important thing for us too at cons. Is like the first thing I do if there's a con that I'm like, oh, that would be cool to go. I just message everyone, hey, are you going to this one? You know, like you want to meet up and hang out over the weekend. So it's really cool. Plus, I mean, I do. If you wouldn't mind sharing your one story of, what'd you say, Fan Expo Dallas 23 meeting Hayden.
Yeah, so I won't give all the details on this because I'd like to keep some of it private. Actually, okay, no, I'm thinking, oh God, what can I tell about this?
Yeah, you can give a brief overview of it. You don't have to get into any details or anything.
I won't go into the backstage thing, but I will talk about at least our interaction while taking pictures. Long story short, we had already met earlier in the day due to a really great opportunity that they had given me, that his manager, whatever, they had something going on stage, and it was cool. And so he had already gotten familiar with me, which was a really great opportunity. But later in the day, when it came time to take our picture, me and one of my Palpatine friends, we had walked up, we had gotten our picture taken, and he had asked us, or he'd asked the Palpatine if he was also 501st, blah, blah, blah. He was all smiles. He was just as giddy as a schoolboy. We had taken our picture, and he turns to me, and he shakes my hand. And he said, best I've ever seen, and he gives me a big pat on the shoulder. And I walked out of that photo booth, like, I had obviously a full Vader helmet on, but, like, I was, like, screaming internally as loudly as I could. And I don't want to say I was hyperventilating, but I was getting to about the closest thing that you could. And it was even worse because at the time, and it was so weird, some girl had then come up to me after I'd held out the printed out picture. I popped my helmet off because I was exhausted, and she was just like, you kind of even look a little like Hayden. I was like, girl, I'm emotional right now. Don't do that. No. This is not
sobbing.
a good... I'm like, this is not a good time. So, but yeah, we had a conversation, a private conversation earlier that day, which I'm really grateful. I'm not going to give all the details out of that, but he was just as genuine and as nice as I'd ever could have hoped him to be. And to get the advice that I did from him, he's a gem.
Yeah, I hope to meet him someday. Because, I mean, I've seen him. We got a photo, but, you know, that's so quick.
It's so
especially
rushed.
like
It's
a
so
Fan
fast.
Expo Dallas. It's ridiculous. But
Yeah,
every
it's a machine.
story I've heard, they say, like, he's just so genuine and down to earth.
They say never meet your heroes, but that was the one time that it definitely worked out in my favor.
Yeah. It's like that with a lot of the Star Wars people. Definitely not all of them. Because I have met some really insane ones. Maybe I'll get into those stories someday. But yeah, it's just really cool. Hayden, I've never met Ewan either. I would love to meet him someday.
No, yeah, I haven't even seen him up close or had any interaction. He's eluded me.
I know. I'm waiting for him to come to Fan Expo Dallas, but he just like avoids it every year and goes to every other Fan Expo.
I don't know. He's got some issues with Dallas. Maybe he's not a Cowboys fan.
He won't come. Yeah, he won't come to Dallas. So he's been down to San Antonio, I think, last year.
Huh.
But yeah,
The one
Weird.
we missed.
he just hates it up here, I guess.
He's got bad
How
taste in
tall
cities.
are you?
I am, so just out of costume, just regular walking around barefoot, I am 6'4".
Oh, so you make a good Vader. Holy
I
cow.
make a pretty solid Vader. I wouldn't say a perfectly accurate, and I'll get into that in a second, but once I get into costume, once I get the boots and then the helmet, which is pretty thick on top, it's got a massive forehead, that adds a few inches. I'd say my total height in costume is probably 6'7"-ish. And so David Prowse, when he first filmed A New Hope, I believe was anywhere between like 6'7" to 6'9". He was a pretty tall guy. That's obviously well known. But what a lot of people don't know is by the time Return of the Jedi had come around, he had had so many medical issues that his body had shrunk down so badly to the point where in costume he was like 6'5", 6'6". And so his height had varied a lot. And Bob Anderson, who did the stunts in Empire Strikes Back and maybe even Return, I'm not sure, he was 6'4". So I don't make a perfect Vader, but I was just going to say, once you get kind of above 6'3", 6'4", nobody's really paying attention to that, so it all works.
I feel like I've seen a short Vader before.
Oh, they exist.
And I was just like, exist. Like, it's just the proportion. I don't want to, like, hey, if you want to cosplay Vader, by all means. Like, the costume looks great. But, like, you know, different people's builds look better with different, you know, cosplays. Like, the clone troopers, the Darth Vaders. I feel like that's especially where it gets, you know, like, you kind of have to have the build for that.
Yeah, it's the height is important because Vader he definitely is a presence, and part of that is the height. And so that's why I think if you're just trying to pull off a screen-accurate version of Darth Vader, it helps to be taller. But at the end of the day, I'm also one that I have told people, I'm like, just cosplay whatever you want. I will never be judgmental. People will be, though. I see short Vaders get shredded so often, and I hate to see it. But, like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, you just really can't worry about that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I just imagine a nerd coming up with a measuring tape being like, oh, wait, no, you're half an inch too short.
Yeah,
not my Darth Vader.
It's even worse when you'll have, like, the really tall stormtroopers. You'll have, like, a really tall, like, there's some really tall Jawas in the 501st, and then you have this, like, shorter Vader. It does look a little funny, I won't lie, but...
They're just all matching even height.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oh, man. Yeah, I've seen the Jawas before. Oh, wait, Ashley. Do you know, I don't know her last name. She's
Daniels.
a Padme cosplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. She does a Jawa.
Yes, she does.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
That was one of our first-ish kind of meetings. We didn't meet her, but that's when I first, like, made the connection, Padme cosplayer, Jawa was there. I didn't meet her, but it was a mutual friend.
Yeah, I think actually... Oh, wait, what? Sorry.
So she's from Shreveport, which is where I originally got my trooping start.
Oh,
so
yeah. Duh.
Had a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think actually Fan Expo Dallas 2 years ago was the first time I found out about the 501st.
Mm-hmm.
And I still then I didn't even know what it was about. I still haven't met many members though of it. They usually they all tend to keep to themselves, but I also keep to myself too. I don't go out and like meet people at the cons very often.
The downside about a lot of 501st members is they don't really recruit unless you show interest directly to them and take that initiative. But I also hate to say it, as much fun. The North Texas squad, which is who I would spend a majority of my trooping time with just because I felt that they had a better group and better events. The downside about them, and this is a plague throughout so much of the 501st, is that they'll show up to events and then leave. It's as simple as that. They sometimes don't talk to anybody. Sometimes they'll even go out of their way to avoid people. And there's a part of me that is fine and respects that because everyone, you know, has their own different levels of like what they want to do socially. But joining a club to then avoid other club members is just always the strangest thing to me. Even though I recognize a lot of people have different backgrounds, whether it's on their opinions or politics or whatever, when I show up to events, I want to get to know every single person in that room. Even if I know I'm not going to like them, I at least want to know them on at least a platonic level because we're going out and we're trooping. There's got to be at least some form of chemistry there when you're going out and you're making memories for people. And so to see a lot of events, and this is not, like I said, just North Texas, this is everywhere, where these groups will be so disjointed and not have any contact whatsoever. They'll show up and then they'll leave without talking to anyone. I don't get that. It's also kind of why we suffer with recruiting is so many people it's also awkward to talk in these costumes. Being in a stormtrooper is not, doesn't give you the most social capability, but I just wish we recruited a lot better, and it shocks me even now to this point on how many Star Wars fans don't know who we are. Even the diehard ones have no clue who the 501st are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're a cat?
Oh, great.
Oh, it's so cute.
Oh, my God.
No, see, you get cats, we get the airplanes over here.
Give me one
Which
second.
one
I
hasn't
have
gone
to-
by? Go for it.
God.
It was a really loud airplane yesterday. I thought it was part of the show.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back.
What'd you do to the cat?
She's just mad at
Kicked
my
it.
door was closed. She just was pissed off that I closed my door.
Yeah, my sister's cat opened the door today. It's like one of those
Meteor
pull
room?
doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like you just pull it, and so he'll get his paw and like pull the door. It was weird.
Yeah, and then they'll just walk in and be like, bro, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's exactly
Cats
what she's doing right
crack
now.
me up. I love them. Okay, wait. The Darth Vader helmet in the back, that's the one you wear?
Yes, it is. That's the helmet that I wear for pretty much everything.
That's cool. Okay, what's the well, I guess you don't have to give an exact percentage, but how much do you build versus buy for Vader specifically?
So for Vader, for me, that was pretty much 100% built.
Oh, wow.
Or no, wow, not built.
Oh,
Vader
okay.
for me was 100% bought.
Never mind. I take it back. Never mind.
When it comes to Vader, that was my second ever costume, and I'd already paid for Kylo. But the level of care and respect that it takes to bring that character to life, I just have the utmost respect for the character, and so I didn't want to risk the possibility of my skills being something that could potentially screw that up. And so I figured it would be best to just, pay the people who have been doing this for a long time, who have been making parts and the leather and all that, and just leave it up to them, because I want to portray the character as best as I can, and I know for a fact, at least at the time, my skills weren't anywhere near what they needed to be to bring Vader to life. Jango Fett was a different story. That I had bought the helmet, and I bought the gauntlets from an old Jango, who had since retired, but everything else I practically built from the ground up, besides maybe my boots. I had spray painted and built my entire jetpack, which was a really, really big deal. But that was the costume where I finally took the gamble. I was like, okay, let me try to build this, and it paid off. I mean, it was really cool to have that experience, to gain new painting skills and, fabricating and all that. So I was really glad to do that, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine. Especially something with that much armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a miserable process to build.
What's it made out of?
So the actual armor itself is cold cast aluminum. The jetpack, I believe, is resin. Same with my knees, and the vest, leather, the flight suit underneath, it's just like cotton. But yeah, it's literally just straight up cold cast aluminum that you would rub steel wool over, and that's how it just gets that metal shine. That's what they used, I believe, in production, outside of like a few rubber suits for some stunts. So it is as close to you could get as screen accurate for Jango Fett armor.
That's really cool. I don't see a lot of Jango Fetts, actually. out and
No,
about.
it's an extremely uncommon costume, and I've never understood why. I've always thought low-key he was cooler than Boba, but that's just me.
In some ways, yeah.
It's just a costume that, for whatever reason, hasn't been made a lot, even in the 501st. And it's super weird, because every single time I'll go to a garrison, whether I troop with them for the first time, whatever, I'll ask them, I'm like, hey, do you guys by any chance have a Jango Fett? And every single time I ask a new garrison, they're like, oh, we have one. He just hasn't trooped in a really long time. And I'm like, so you don't have one? And they're like, wait, we do. He's around. I'm like, what's his name? And they're like, well, we don't know.
He's
We
coming
just know we have one.
someday.
And I'm like, okay, this is, like, there's some type of conspiracy. Like, there's only one other Legion Jango that I've met, but the rest of them, I think they're, like, in some type of cult, because this is weird at this
They're just
point.
off in all the Jango Fett cosplayers.
It's weird. Like, every single garrison has been like, oh, yeah, we got one. We don't know who he is, but he's around.
I think you need to watch your back.
Yeah, there's something going on here.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, I do want to ask, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh, so I have two answers for this. I think the highest quality is Empire Strikes Back. and I don't think there's any debate about that. I think that's at least the general consensus. I think the writing, the acting, the set design, the costumes, the plot, all is the best Star Wars has yet still had to offer. My favorite, the one that I probably enjoy watching the most, and this lines up with my costumes, is Attack of the Clones. I recognize that movie has its problems, and I recognize that the dialogue is definitely spotty, and there's about a whole laundry list of issues with it. But I also think that with those problems, Attack of the Clones has some of the best Star Wars we've ever seen. Some of that world building with Kamino. Kamino is one of my favorite planets. With Jango Fett, he was going to come up eventually. That was the first time we'd ever seen a Mandalorian actually do something besides just stand there, like Boba Fett did in the original trilogy. So we got to see Jango Fett fly around and win a fight against a Jedi, which was a really big deal at the time. That space battle between him and Obi-Wan immediately thereafter, we get some of the best sound design with the seismic charge and all that. We have Christopher Lee, who is an extremely underrated presence in Star Wars and has got a great voice. And then we have that arena battle with all the Jedi lighting up their lightsaber and seeing the full strength of the Jedi for the first time, plus the introduction of the Clone Army, and then you've got the Anakin Padme love theme. Like, I really think people underestimate and underrate Attack of the Clones criminally, even with its issues.
Yeah, it was a big setup movie for the third one. Mm-hmm. So I feel like those ones often get pretty overlooked.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, Revenge of the Sith was the best, but we gotta remember how it got there.
Yeah.
Because of the second one. But yeah, Empire Strikes Back for sure. That's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Which is, it's funny because that is very common. A lot of people I talk to say Empire Strikes Back. But we just did a rewatch of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy with a group of friends who have never seen it before, and they did not know any spoilers. And
God.
So, it was so fun. But one of my friends for Empire, she was like, that was the most boring movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
And she hated it. But every single other movie, she was like, she loved it. So it was so funny. I think she said Return of the Jedi was her favorite.
I hear that a lot more lately.
So. Yeah. But I'm saying all that because watching the prequels, every fight scene, just the way it's choreographed and everything, like, they were losing their minds. And it was like, because I forgot, because I've seen Star Wars since I was a kid, so I forgot, like, all the high stakes, because I'm like, oh, I know in this scene, Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan beats Darth Maul, but they didn't know, so they're watching all these fights happen, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, what's gonna happen? And then Qui-Gon dies, and they're all just, like, screaming. But then the fight with Yoda and Dooku, they were, like, it was the first time they've seen Yoda fight, and so they were just like, oh my gosh, like, what the heck, losing their minds. It was so fun. Such a cool experience.
Yeah, I'm always excited to see how people feel when they watch Star Wars for the first time, especially this new generation. When they watch the prequels, the reaction is a lot different than people did 10 years ago. But I also am one of the few people, and I think I might be a conspiracy theorist on this, I think if the internet existed as strongly as it did 10, 15 years ago, no, oh my God, it's actually been longer than that. I didn't realize it's been 26 years since Phantom Menace. I think if the internet was as strong as a presence as it did now, I think those movies and those actors would have been treated a lot better than they would have back then. I think the media and the critics were a lot stronger, and a lot of the fans didn't really get the voice that they should have had at the time. And that's not to say that they would have all been treated a lot better. We've unfortunately seen even now with social media what the fandom can do to certain actors and actresses. So it's so exciting to see people getting into Star Wars for the first time and seeing the prequels and just being in awe. Like, it's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is really cool. I should have wrote out, I had a few questions and things. I was like, I'm not going to forget that.
You forgot?
Here we are.
Yeah.
No, a lot of them I remembered. I've been asking.
You have.
But, yeah. Okay. What's your... Actually, no, I won't ask that one. What's your most favorite memory in your Jango Fett cosplay, if you have one?
In Jango Fett, I really don't have a lot yet. I've worn the costume a few it's been really limited on how much I've worn that costume. But probably the coolest troop that I've done and coolest memories since putting it on, I had gone to the Florida Panthers down in Miami, had their Star Wars night for their hockey game. And I had, spent majority of the time walking through the crowd, walking through like just this like subterranean levels where you're just, hanging out with fans and you're taking pictures and you're doing mascot like interactions and all that. But towards the end of the troop, and this was actually really incredible, they had taken us up to the suite level, where all the press boxes and all the suites are. And they had us, stop into a few bigger businesses that had rented out for their employees. But the craziest memory that I have, and it's even worse because I actually didn't know that it was happening while it was, they had me go into one final suite. And I couldn't really read the lettering on the door of the suite because my, helmet was so fogged up. But I walk in, and I don't remember his name, but I think there was a running back from the Miami Dolphins. His name was Raheem Mostert. I think that was him. Took a picture with me, and then he said, I got to have you go take a picture with someone else. I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm being guided over, and I can't really see anything as my lens are, I'm just being blindly guided by an NFL running back. And
You're like, okay.
I feel this old white guy start to like pat my shoulder, and he takes a picture with me. And I look over, and I was like, who's this geezer or whatever. And I'm like, that's fine. And I took pictures with him. I took pictures with a few members of his entourage, and I got walked out. And someone comes up to me and is like, do you know who that was? I was like, no, I can't see a thing. I'm like, who the hell was that? And they looked at me and said, that was Wayne Gretzky. And I was like, oh, someone could have told me that before I
in the moment
walked in the suite. That would have been kind of nice. I'd like the picture. That would have been nice. And they're like, well, sorry. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not a big hockey fan by any means, but I just met the Michael Jordan of hockey, and nobody thought to tell me that beforehand. I'm like,
or
are
get
you
a
people
picture,
serious?
anything
On our own phones? Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
this would have been so cool. I just met the Michael Jordan of hockey, and I couldn't even see his face. I couldn't even see that it happens. I have no memory of this happening outside of my helmet just... Nothing.
Yeah.
I met the Michael Jordan of hockey, and I have nothing to show for it. That is one of the coolest, but also one of the worst memories I've ever had in that costume. And that sticks out to me because it frustrates me. Like, if you meet Wayne Gretzky, that's a big deal. I don't care if you're dressed like a clown or Pennywise or whatever. And I got nothing to show for it. That sucks.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was last year. I do not remember the date off the top of my head, but I can't find it on my Instagram somewhere. But yeah, it was last year.
Okay.
It still hurts.
I was gonna say you still sound pretty bitter about that.
Yeah, as I should
would be.
I think.
It makes sense.
So
That's amazing.
That's
That's
horrible.
Like I said, not a hockey fan. It still hurts.
Yeah,
It sucks.
I get that. That's funny. You said, you can barely see. What's your mobility like in each costume?
So that's an interesting question. With Empire Strikes Back, I can't raise my arms like above this level. When I have that Vader costume on, I really can't do that. Go any higher than this. So my mobility is not great. I also am one of the few Empire Strikes Back Vaders that can kind of turn my head, but I don't want to grind my helmet against my armor too much, and so you kind of have to do the Batman tilt.
I was about to say, it's like Batman. You're just like...
Mm-hmm. If you want to look or turn in a drastic direction, you've literally got to turn your entire body, which people think would look ridiculous, but when you're in costume, not only is that exactly what he did on screen, but it just looks natural, like it's something that Darth Vader would do, and so it doesn't look weird in costume. But like the worst part about it is I've caught myself doing this when I'm talking to people in real life, even sometimes at my work, or as I'm just going around interacting. There are some times where instead now of just turning my head and be like, hey, I'll turn my entire body, and I'll even do like a little lean back, just like Darth Vader would out of costume, and I look really stupid. So that
Say they're like never mind.
Yeah, and it sucks. With Jango Fett, my mobility is a lot easier. The only downside to that is the jetpack is very heavy and kind of weighs down on your back. So that's the only mobility issue you really have. Otherwise, with Jango Fett, like I can jump around, I could like crouch down if I really wanted to. I could try to figure out a way to sit down. So mobility in there is a little bit better, but you also have, what I fear is my armor like popping off or coming disconnected. So it's different mobility with each. Jango Fett's visibility is a lot better than Darth Vader's. Which you probably wouldn't think is the case, but with that visor, you have a lot more range that you can see. Whereas the Vader, you've pretty much got those goggles and then the vents. Those goggles fog up all the time, and so pretty much you're usually running blind.
Mm-hmm. It's wild. Do you have to have a handler, or do you just walk around by yourself and hope you don't trip over anyone?
It depends on the event, and it definitely depends on... Yeah, it just depends on the event. Like conventions, I would prefer to have somebody, especially if I'm about to go navigating through a crowd. I have had kids literally just bounce off of me just because they weren't paying attention and I couldn't see them and their parents suck. And so, like I said, I've literally been walking and some kid will just go straight into my knee and just go boom, straight to the ground and start crying. And there's nothing I can do about that as Darth Vader. I'm not going to bend over and help him. So I just keep walking and you see my cape flow and people are like, oh yeah, that's Darth Vader right there. But it's like there's just nothing you can do about it.
Playing the character. Oh my gosh.
Like I couldn't.
The parents are like, you monster.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about it in my condition. I just got to keep walking and play it off and look cool. It sucks, but watch
Not
your
even
kids.
a second glance. Oh my gosh.
No, not a single. No.
You get after the kid.
Yeah. That's his
It's very in
problem.
character,
Just
I
like-
guess. It's funny.
Mm.
Watch where you're going.
The costume, the Darth Vader, Jango Fett, not so much. I'm still trying to figure out how to portray him. But Darth Vader, that costume takes you over. It's like this like weird psychological. It's kind of sick. And I got to interview all of the living actors that have played Darth Vader through the 501st, and I'm super grateful for that opportunity. But I had asked them, and I talked with them. I was like, how does that, like, the costume is really uncomfortable. Like, how do you, like, get into character, per se? And they all said, I baited them into this because I wanted to hear it. But they said, we don't really even necessarily have to get into character. The costume just kind of is so uncomfortable and pisses you off. And when you put that helmet on, you feel like a different person. It, like, takes you over in this creepy, like, Lord of the Rings style, like, brainwash, like, you're no longer yourself. And it's creepy. But it helps us portray the character in the best way possible.
That's cool. It's a cool shared experience to have all the Darth Vaders say that.
Well, then to hear them agree, like I'm like I said, I'm just a costumer. I'm just a guy that walks around at events. I'm practically a dime store. What is it? Mascot. Like that's practically it. These are the guys that actually got to bring him to life on screen, and so to hear that there's even some bridge between that, it's really cool.
That is cool. Now you mention it, how comfortable or uncomfortable is it to wear Vader's costume?
It varies. I've made it a little more comfortable as time has gone on, but it's not even necessarily the leather's bad. It's tight, and it smells. It gets extremely hot, and that heat, the suit mostly traps heat. And so if you do have any heat leaving you, it either goes out the vents through your back or it comes up through your neck, and so then you're heating yourself up inside the helmet. It's just incredibly heavy. And the other downside about the costume, and I had to put some foam underneath to pad it, the fiberglass shoulder armor is weighed down by that wool cape, and it's a lot heavier than it looks. And so if you can imagine, being in tight leather, being in really uncomfortable boots, and then on top of all of that, having fiberglass armor with sharp edges digging down into your shoulders, like your shoulder bones, your collar, all that, all while this cape is weighing down on top of it. That's just an idea of how uncomfortable it is. And it over time, it definitely sucks. Some of the best times, the most comfortable troops I've ever had are the ones like outdoors. I did a Christmas parade, the famous the Dallas Christmas parade. And that, I think that morning it was like 40 or 50 degrees. And that was one of the best troops I'd ever had because in the cold, everyone else is freezing. And like to me, it felt like it would be a 60 or 70 degree day. So those cold troops definitely do help out a lot. But like down here in Florida now, outdoor troops are a whole different game.
I can imagine. Yeah. Do you travel a lot for events, or do you usually try to stay in the same area?
It's tough. When I lived in Louisiana, like I said, I'd drive 3 hours to Dallas, there and then back, just because one, they had better events, but two, I had a great group of people in Dallas that I loved visiting, and so it was worth it to me. Around here in Florida, it's kind of interesting. It seems like Florida's divided up into different squads. You have Makazi squad, which is Orlando. You have Tampa, which is their own squad as well. You have Everglades, which is down in kind of like the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. Since Florida Garrison is such a big group, they have a lot of Darth Vaders. And so traveling opportunities have kind of slimmed down a little bit because it seems like everyone has what they need. But whenever a slot pops up, I try my hardest to go down and travel because I also get to meet more people and get my name out there just to connect with more 501st members. But there are certain groups and there are certain people in certain groups that will kind of look down and be like, oh, he's coming from Akazi, like get to your own squad. And that attitude, it exists. It's sad. And that's not just in Florida where that happens. It's everywhere where there's state garrisons that are divided up into squads. But fighting over these events can also get really nasty. And so I travel when I can, but I've definitely limited it a lot more lately. I did travel to New Orleans, back to Louisiana for that Weird Al event, which was an insane experience. And that was one of the longest. That was the longest I've ever traveled for just a pure troop. Louisiana does not have a Darth Vader at this time, and so I saw Weird Al, who my mom has been a big fan of since I was a kid. I'm like, I have to take up on that opportunity. So I flew out, packed up Vader, and that was it.
That's cool. So, you were talking about as a kid you saw a Darth Vader cosplayer. Mm-hmm. Is that part of the reason why you cosplay Vader now, or is it because you're just a huge fan of Vader?
So that's a tough one. I would like to say that has a major aspect to it. That interaction as a kid had a big impact on me. But I think cosplaying Vader, it was an easy one for me because, one, Vader is Star Wars. Even though the sequels may have tried to shift the story away from Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, George Lucas had intended Star Wars to be a story about Anakin Skywalker. It was meant to be about the Skywalker family story. And that, to me, Darth Vader is, when you think of Star Wars, 99% of the time, Darth Vader is what comes to mind. And he is the main character. He's the coolest character in cinema history, with arguably the coolest costume. And his presence, whether it's on screen or in real life, is something that is extremely hard to replicate, and I wanted that challenge, but I also really wanted to bring that presence so that I could see the reactions in people's faces. I've always been an entertainer. I've been a musician since I was a kid, and my mom instilled that and taught me a lot about that. I had done theater, I had done a lot of different things, and so a lot of my calling is making people forget what they have going on in life, whether it's their struggles or whether it's their problems. I love seeing people escape reality, even if it's for just a few seconds, and the expressions and the emotions that you see from people who are seeing Darth Vader in person like that, that is definitely falls under that category. And like I said, seeing the look on people's faces, people always go, well, it's great seeing the kids. It's so cool seeing the adults who you would think would not even think twice about seeing Darth Vader, but even them, they're like looking at me and they're like, oh my God, that's like actually Darth Vader. And that is the most rewarding thing, and that is why I wanted to do Darth Vader the most, is because it's, I don't want to sound awful when I say this, but he's the main character. He's the center of attention, and it's cool to be in that spotlight, but then also have the respect to properly portray that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and I agree. George wrote Anakin to be the main character of the Star Wars saga, so
yeah,
that is really cool. And yeah, Vader is definitely like you know, he's got a cool costume. We were just, again, when we were rewatching all the Star Wars movies, we got to Rogue One too, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like Vader's so sick. Of course, he's like terrible, you know, he's a murderer and kills a bunch of people, but he looks so cool when he's doing it.
He looks so cool.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I've been seeing you posting about violin and everything.
That's really cool. Ask what instrument?
So yeah, I grew up as a violinist. That was the first instrument my mom put in my hand. I was 2.5 when I started those lessons.
Oh.
And yeah, I was really little. And from that point, she
impressive.
had also taught me piano. I in my own time have discovered a lot of other instruments. I got decent at cello. I also played viola because it's a very easy transition. I played drums, whether it's percussion or drum sets, so I did a lot of that. And then also, since my mom is an opera singer, she taught me how to sing, and she was also a private teacher, so in our house I would constantly just hear people practicing their voice and everything, and so it just kind of came to me naturally, and I had gotten a really good ear for that type of stuff, so I've been a musician all my life, but violin and piano were my two initial, and then I've just kind of explored a lot of different instruments from that point.
That's really cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah, growing up,
Plus
Sierra and I, we were in an orchestra.
What did you all
So-
play?
I did violin.
That was cello.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It was
Yep.
fun.
It was so fun. I was first chair. It was great.
I was too. One of my favorite memories of that is we did Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But we never got to perform it because of
COVID.
COVID.
Oh.
Stupid COVID. And then we were
That's
also
rough.
cast in Beauty and the Beast, and we never got to perform that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were big theater kids, big musically inclined kids, so.
Yeah, I had spent a lot of my high school years really dedicated to violin, and I didn't want to be. I'll admit. I was not happy about it. My mom had heavily forced it on me. Heavily. And I didn't really have a choice about it, but it had given me a lot of really great opportunity, and it taught me a lot. And it's now, I don't really play as much anymore, but it's fun to bring it out and show off for a little bit. But I had joined, there's a group called Milwaukee Youth Symphony Orchestra, and they are pretty much the world's premier youth organization for anything youth orchestra, youth symphony, I should say. And they provided a lot of traveling opportunities. They went to like Beijing one year. They had gone really all over the world. And I got to work with first-class musicians. I got to work with some people from Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and then the first chair of Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, who I don't know if you know him, but he was famous because he had a Stradivarius. It's one of the, if y'all know, it's a violin worth millions, and he got his world of fame from he had gotten jumped and had gotten it stolen, and this was like a whole case for like a week or two, I believe, before they finally got it back. But it was really funny. It took everything in me not to joke with him about it when I was getting lessons with him. But I was like, I don't want him to kill me, so I'm just going to keep quiet about this. So
That actually rings a bell. I feel like I might have heard about that.
yeah, it was all over, and the violin I think was worth 2.6 million. So I mean, it was a big deal. But I joked with him one time if I could hold it, and he's like, sure. I was like, oh, okay, no, I don't want that. I don't want to do this. I was kidding, man. No.
You break it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of my time in high school was like watching YouTube videos on like the cheapest versus most expensive violins and cellos and like the most unique kind. Like it was something random that we would both watch that quite a
Stupid
bit,
videos
actually.
like 3D printed violin versus
or like attempting to play the violin made out of ice and like things like that. Just
So
super
y'all
random.
actually liked playing violin. I envy that.
I liked being in the orchestra. I didn't like playing.
Gonna say I loved being a part of the group. The practicing was hard. Not hard. It was hard to make myself practice because I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I loved the instrument of the cello. That's why I played it and wanted to learn it. It was strictly something I just wanted to learn. But yeah, when it came to actually playing it, that was pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like making myself take the time to do it. Because then we'd started podcasting by then. And so my interest was just like, completely, I just wanted to know how to play the cello. I didn't want to practice. So.
That's my thing. Is like I want to know how to play a lot of instruments. I don't want to have to learn.
No, practicing sucked.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's so repetitive, too. And then one day you can just play it well. So it's just,
It was cool when you would hear it all come together.
Yeah.
That was cool. But and also we would practice with each other, and sometimes
That made
it
it
would sound
better.
cool.
That made it better because like
Lot more
cello,
fun.
you know, it's so boring when you're practicing like in arrangement because you're just like don't.
Yeah. Very limited.
But then there would be parts like I did have a few solos in Pirates and stuff, and I loved practicing that. So it depended on the song.
Yeah,
The
for sure.
piece.
Pirates has good cello stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. Like Jack Sparrow, his theme, that was great. Well, I don't think I can play it anymore. I'd have to have sheet music or something.
I always now I'd wanted to play violin at the time, but now I'd rather play cello. But I just physically, my fingers just don't do that. Hers
Just have
do.
to stretch them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
It gave me, yeah.
Wears out over time. Your bones and your knuckles and all that get a little cracky. I've still got damage. I mean, I played 18 years, so it did its wear on my hands for sure. But I've even got like scar marks on my fingers somewhere from like the strings just like cutting in.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
bad.
Did you ever play guitar or anything?
So funny, it's interesting. I've recently started pursuing music in my free time just for fun, just to play the music that I actually like. Because I'll be real, there's a lot of classical violin that I'm like, I just don't care one bit about. There's a lot of old orchestral music that I also don't care one bit about. I love music though, deep down, and I've always wanted to just play what is music has got to come from the heart if it's going to be good. And so I wanted to get a guitar, and I had actually ordered mine 2 months ago from Amazon. It was a really great guitar, and it still hasn't shown up yet, so I'm currently in the claims process with them. But I'm like a big 80s rock fan, so I love Aerosmith, I love AC/DC and all that, and I really wanted to play that type of rock. Because I feel like it's fun to play, it looks cool, there's like an appeal to it, it would just be a blast. I also really want to learn trumpet because I love like old jazz, like Louis Armstrong and everything like that. A lot of New Orleans jazz, so I want to pursue that, but I'm waiting on Amazon. So
Yeah. I always wanted to play the trombone and the tuba.
that's an interesting one. Tuba.
Yeah.
I don't
For
know
a
about
while,
that one.
you were like, I want to play the bassoon.
The contrabassoon, yeah. It's just, the random ones. I've learned I like them in the lower register, so like cello. I didn't want to play violin because that's like right in your eardrum. With cello, it's a little lower, so it was fine.
Yeah, I probably got hearing damage from my violin. Sucks.
Yeah. I would imagine. I have hearing problems from editing the podcast, actually. Which isn't good, but...
Yeah, Air Force plus violin, my hearing is already shot. I feel like a 50-year-old man.
Just someone talks to you. I mean, okay, what's your hearing like in cosplay, actually?
Oh God, my hearing in costume. I'll admit I've weaponized it.
You're not the first person we've talked to who said that. Actually.
It's a little bit better than I would like to ever admit, but I
you're
will
saying
tell
it now?
people. There are people that have come up to me and they're like shouting at me or they'll say something, and I choose not to hear them. And the great thing is about it, especially if I have a handler around, they'll go, "Oh, he can't hear in that hang. He can't hear. It ain't. Yeah, he's not being rude or ignoring us. He just can't hear." And I just smile and keep walking. It's the most beautiful thing, especially if I need to get somewhere in a convention. It's fascinating to me. If I'm walking around as Vader, then I'm like a magnet. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, we got to take pictures with him." At Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, I stood next to a TK. I literally just walked up to say hi to them. And I am not kidding. I had felt like Timothée Chalamet just at a Dune premiere. Everybody swarmed. There were people that had told me that they had waited 45 minutes at Celebration just to get a picture with me standing next to TKs. However, I have noticed that when I'm walking through a convention floor, if I walk full Vader speed with my cape flown and everything, instead of people rushing me, they will split
the
like the
water.
Red Sea.
Yep.
And every once in a while, though, I will get some absolute weirdo that tries chasing me down to ask me for a picture. And they'll even tap my shoulder, which, that like sets me off. I'm not like super sensitive about like, in my personal space, don't touch me. But like when I can feel people like physically tug on my cape, like then I know they're doing it hard. I hate that. People will shout out like, "Can I get a picture? Can my little gremlin son get a picture?" Blah, blah, blah. And unless they like touch me, I just keep walking. I'm like, oh, yep, can't hear you. And it's the most beautiful thing. Because the stigma is, especially if you're in costume, is you can't hear a thing, you can't see a thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm good with that stigma. I'm going to keep letting it live because it allows me to ignore people and not come off as rude.
Yeah.
Because believe me, I ignore people. I promise you. All the time.
Someone's gonna watch this who has tried stopping you before, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!"
Great. Yeah.
Wait, I tapped him on the shoulder.
He hates me.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I hate it. Like feeling the cape. Like especially when you're hot, you're sweaty, you're tired, and you just want to get off the floor, and you hear you feel someone's grubby little hand pull on your cape that you spend a lot of money on. Oh my God, I'm like. There have been times where I've turned around, like, in character, like, full body spin, and I'll just look down at them, and then I'll turn around and keep walking. Just, like,
That here at the
that's
same
when
time,
That made their
seems
day.
very in character for Vader, though. So for all they know, you're just acting the part, you know, like looking and then turning, like, oh, that guy's good. That you're actually pissed off at them.
And it is. It's half acting, but the other half is me legitimately being pissed off and being like, go away. Don't you dare touch me, or I will Spartan kick you. I have that flexibility in costume.
I would love to see that. That sounds funny.
I had a kid at Dallas Fan Expo, and this is going to sound really bad. This is actually really bad.
You don't have to say it on the podcast.
No, it's a good story, so why not? Oh, man. So, in the most respectful way possible, there was a
what
kid.
year was this? Real quick.
This is 23. I think that was the only year I ended up going. I think. It was the year Hayden was there, right? Mm-hmm. It's either that or 22.
We totally missed you there then.
I was gonna say that was
you
our
didn't miss
first
me.
con.
I popped up in some of y'all's pictures. Believe me, you didn't miss me.
Those weren't my photos.
But yeah, but Anyways, this kid, he'd had special needs. And immediately this story is going to, oh my God. There's a kid that saw me and he had special needs and he was very excited to see Darth Vader. And, you know, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for enthusiasm. You know, it's great to see people excited about the Star Wars universe. But when you have a child that has special needs, sometimes enthusiasm is dangerous. And I had really wished that this guy's parents had been paying attention. He was probably 13 or 14. I mean, this is a brolic kid. He looked like a Chicago Bears linebacker. I mean, he'd had some size to him. The kid sees me from 50 feet away and immediately starts screaming. Not like an angry scream, like an excited scream. And for whatever reason, even though my hearing is limited and my vision is limited, from 50 feet away, I heard the scream, and it was so cinematic, I whipped my helmet and I locked eyes with this kid. And I instinctively, like I had the force, went, oh no, here we go. And so this kid starts running full speed like Jesse Owens. He is running at the top of human capability, like I had never seen before. And this entire time, I'm like frozen. I can't move because I'm like, there's nothing I can do about this. This is it. There's stormtroopers nearby me, there's handlers, but they're all talking with some other nerd friends that they'd met up with. And so nobody's paying attention to me. I feel time moving in slow motion as I can see this kid locking eyes with me and sprinting full speed. And so I'm like, oh God, here it goes. This is it. This is where I fall over and my costume's done. That's that. And then he gets about 25 yards away. He's still 25 feet, still running. And I think in my head, I'm like, oh, he's going to stop, right? He'll just give me a hug. We'll be fine. And then I see him beat his chest. And I'm like, oh, great. There's no shot. This is going to go really badly. Oh, no, this is it. And so now I'm terrified. So then I get in like a defensive stance, like I'm Kung Fu Panda or something. I put my foot like down and I can feel the earth move below me. And this kid jumps up at me like we're in football. Like how football players will jump up and like knock pads with each other. And so instinctively, I did what any other person would have done in this situation who's terrified. Instead of bumping shoulders with him, I put both my arms out like that, and I shoved him backwards, and he went straight to the ground. Straight to the ground. And he started crying and he started screaming. And that was the only time where I looked down in costume, because I felt bad. Like, it wasn't his fault. His parents should have been watching, but he jumped at me like I was Ray Lewis or something. Like, what was I supposed to do? If I would have let him jump into me, I would have gone to the ground, boom, $1,000, $2,000 in repairs. But this kid jumps at me like it's WWE, arms out and everything. And so I just went, bam! And I trucked him straight to the ground. He goes down, starts crying and screaming. And so I look down. The TKs all turn their head at once. The handlers all look down. They look at me, and I'm like, I literally threw my hands up in costume. I was like, I can't do anything. And I'm trying to talk to them, but they can't hear because I have all like the masks on and everything. And so then they start freaking out. They're like, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm like, oh my God. And so the dad then starts coming up and starts yelling at me. And I can't communicate with him because I'm literally Darth Vader. So this whole ordeal just looks ridiculous. And so I did what I could. I spun around, whole cape twirl and everything, and I just walked off. And that was that.
Oh my gosh.
What was I supposed to do? I'm sorry.
I mean,
what was I supposed to do?
Yeah. No, I mean,
I was gonna say the fear kicks in, and you're like, yeah.
He's moving fast.
I get it. Yeah.
He was moving so fast.
Oh my gosh. That poor kid nowadays. I wonder, he's probably terrified of Darth Vader's now.
Good. You know what? I did a service to the rest of Dallas-Fort Worth Darth Vaders. You're welcome.
They thank you for your service.
Yeah. Give me a patch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would have been wild. I was just thinking, we were at that con, and I can imagine seeing that happen in the distance and being like,
especially our first con.
like, probably would have turned and been like, well, let's go eat or something.
Oh, I get made fun of endlessly for that now. We was like, we got Noah out here chucking children.
Taking out the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
you're talking about
character.
the Darth Vader suit takes over your whole persona. Yeah, literally.
That was the first time I was terrified in costume that the character had left me, and I was like, oh no, I'm screwed. I was terrified.
Gosh. Bro.
Such a bad situation to be in.
That's hard. Because, they have the signs everywhere too, cosplays not consent. But if you have something like that happen, like, what else are you supposed to do? So.
And I can't hold it against the kid. He was special needs. His parents should have been watching better. That's who I can hold it against. And for him to get mad at me, I was like, okay, brother, like, we're not doing this right now.
Yeah, I get it. They probably all they saw was Vader take out their kid and slam him to the ground. So.
God.
I literally have tears in my eyes.
Oh my goodness. It was the build-up.
I know, it was your storytelling, oh my gosh.
And I don't know if y'all have ever seen the movie Get Out, but, like, there's the scene where the grandpa is just running straight at the character, and all you see is his eyes locked in like an F-16, and he was moving at that speed. I'm telling you, he was moving at the speed of an NFL player, and he flew through the air like he had Michael Jordan's vertical. Like, it was slow motion. It was all slow motion.
Yeah, what's even better, actually, is that you saw him from so far away. Instead of out of nowhere, you just get, like, totally slammed by this kid. You're just, like, you could sense it happening.
I don't know, it was divine intervention or something, but I locked eyes with him. It was like we had a connection in the worst way possible. It was horrible.
Maybe that's why he ran at you. He's like, he sees me.
Like, I whipped in costume straight towards him. It's horrible.
I'm imagining this from the kid's perspective. He's got, like, music going on in his head, like, best moment of his life.
Yeah, he was flapping his arms, and he was like, I could see the saliva. And my vision's not great in that costume, but I could see the saliva bubbling in his mouth. He was ready to devour me in friendship. I don't know what it was. It was awful situation that I pray to God anybody at a convention in costume never has to go through.
Devour me in friendship.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. That's
terrible.
crazy. That's crazy.
Wow. Comic-Con stories, am I right?
Oh, God,
That's
yeah.
actually that's the most wild cosplayer story I've heard.
I think
Because
so.
I've been friends with cosplayers who, tell me things that have happened to them, but nothing like that. They didn't have to take out any kids.
No, yeah, that's one of the worst. On average, like you'll have some like, especially when you go to sporting events, you'll have like some drunk guest, like they'll pull at your cape, they'll try to push your buttons, and like certain kids, I'll let them like just tap on my chest and I'm like whatever. But if I see like a grown man or like a grown woman start to like creepily feel around, I will no joke, I have legit slapped their hands in a costume, and they'll look up at me and they're like, and then I'll look down at them, expressionless, just looking into the Vader mask, and I was like, yeah, try that again.
Yeah, that's wild. That's also very in character. It's so sassy. You just give them a little slap.
It does feel good to like when I'm justified and someone's touching up on me where they're not supposed to, just like bam, it feels good. I won't even lie. If I enjoy it.
Oh my gosh. No, that's crazy. That's part of the reason I wouldn't mind cosplaying someday. But
Yeah.
that's the part of it that's a little like, because again, I'm not like, I love talking to people, meeting people, but having like people walk up like that might be a little terrifying in a way.
I can't say I've experienced this obviously because I'm a man, but as someone who has watched some of the treatment that female cosplayers get throughout the Legion, throughout, just the whole scene, I would be much more intimidated to be a cosplayer as a woman than I would be as a man. Because, like I said, unfortunately, the con scene, there's a lot of great people, but there's also a lot of really socially awkward individuals. There's a lot of outcasts. There's a lot of people who aren't necessarily socially inclined. And then you have sometimes people who don't understand social cues. They're completely off. And I have seen women get groped. I've seen them have really creepy pictures taken of them. I've seen stalkers who, especially who have a social media presence, I've seen people showing up and had to get thrown out that way. It's. I'll be real. I'm not normally the. I don't know where I was going with that. Regardless, it's a lot more intimidating to be a cosplayer as a woman than it would be a man.
Yeah, I can imagine. Which is partly why I'm like, usually when we go, I'm like, oh, just, go as us instead. So, mind our own business. Which, I mean, even then, things still happen. So, it's just...
Oh, yeah. I would say, as you guys will blow up in popularity, unfortunately, I hate to warn y'all, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have weirdos. You're gonna have stalkers. It's a sad reality, but...
Can't believe you took out a kid, though, bro.
He started it. He started it, okay? I didn't
be
just
thinking
take
about
out
that.
some kid, okay? I'm not...
Yeah, no, I believe you.
Yeah, no, let's not make this out to be like some Harrison Ford hates Star Wars and people. Okay, I'm not letting that narrative fly around
That'll
here now.
be
That's
going to
started
be the thumbnail and the episode title.
Yeah, you're just gonna get some clip from like Fortnite of some like Vader smacking some person. Is that what you're gonna do now?
Yeah, and then I'll overlay it with you telling the story.
Noah Maurer beat up a special needs kid at Fan Expo. Yeah, that's what we need going around.
Yeah, you definitely get a lot of attention,
Oh boy,
for sure.
there goes my career.
He said, quote, he started it.
That's so bad.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Never running for president now. That's that.
Yeah, there goes that dream. Yeah, you'd be like, I hate podcasts now. They seem so
No.
nice.
The truth comes out.
Yeah, now you're just scarred from Fan Expo Dallas.
There's a lot of other reasons I'm terrified of that convention, but that is probably...
Yeah, I don't blame you. That con it's the most fun getting to see, because a lot of people we know go, a lot of friends, so we get to like see everybody, and it's usually the first one of the year for us. But other than that, everything else about it sucks completely.
Yeah, it's a strange convention, and I also remember the last time that weekend. I don't know if y'all had experienced this, but it was way worse for me being in costume. The AC was out. Y'all remember that? Some idiots who were running the building had turned off the AC, and they didn't figure that out until Friday. And so obviously it's a big convention center, and they're trying to spend the entire time spinning up the AC, and it just did not help. What I will also say, and what really sucks about wearing the Vader costume, is air gets trapped, especially if you're walking, air will get trapped inside your mask and stay there. So all of the smells also get trapped. And I'm not going to pretend that I smell perfect as Vader, because I don't. I've done a lot of effort to clean up my costume as best as I can. But once you're in there for a few hours, it's just going to happen. The downside is, and this is really bad at New Orleans, but it happened in Dallas too, is all of the smells from the other cosplayers who shouldn't smell because they're in a lot less, heavy costume.
Yeah.
All of that gets trapped in your mask. If someone was smoking weed that day, that gets trapped in your mask. All of it just goes, and you get stuck with it. And the worst part about it is my cape can also, it catches a lot of air, and sometimes that just makes it like, I turn into like this little wind tunnel, and it just comes straight up into my mask, and I'm like, it's hard not to barf sometimes. But conventions smell awful, especially in a one like Dallas where the AC was out. That was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Yeah, I can imagine. It was
bad.
terrible. It was terrible out of costume. So I can't imagine that. A mask.
Not a good time.
Just taking out kids left and right.
Okay. Great.
Oh, that's so funny though.
So bad.
Hilarious. Trying to think of where to pick up the conversation from that.
Just gonna keep
So
coming back.
anyways.
So do you make a habit of this?
It's our closing, and remember, folks, lock up your children if you find out Noah's going to be at a con near you.
Yeah, if Noah's nearby, watch your kids.
Yep. Sounds
bad.
terrible.
It sounds so bad. So bad.
The moral of this, cosplay is not consent.
Oh, boy.
So you were into classical music and in symphony and orchestra. Do you listen to a lot of Star Wars scores?
So, that's a tough one. I definitely do. I think anytime I get I use Apple Music, not Spotify, but anytime I get my Wrapped for the year, John Williams is usually like a top 3. Sometimes it'll be Kendrick Lamar. I like a lot of rap, but which is a polar opposite to classical music. But I do listen to it. I'm not a big, I don't just sit down and listen to a lot of music in my free time, but if I'm working out or anything like that, or if I'm driving and I need to let's say it's been a really, really bad day, I do have a John Williams playlist of music that is calming or soothing or pretty. So I can kind of just sit back and lay back and sit with my thoughts instead of screaming like a Muppet and gripping my steering wheel. I do quite frequently listen to John Williams, especially if I do need to relax. But sometimes on other days where I look like Beaker from the Muppets. I don't know if you know who that is, but your hair's all spiked up and you got wide eyes and you just want to scream.
Yeah.
That type of music does help me not go in that direction.
What are some of your favorites?
Ooh, so that's a tough one. But one that I know that's underrated that actually I can bring up immediately. Solo is not my favorite movie ever by any means. I don't think it was a bad movie, but one piece in the score that really, really stuck out was it's a piece where it's called Lando's Closet, and that's where Mother of Dragons and then Han Solo go, and I think they make out in that said closet, but there's this love theme, and there's just filled with string instruments, and it's just overwhelming and powerful, and it really kicks up if y'all haven't listened to it. It is such a pretty theme. And it's definitely an under-the-radar one because, 1, Solo wasn't that popular, but 2, I don't even know who composed Solo's soundtrack, but it was really good. That's another
Let
one.
me make a note of that. It's been a minute since I've gone through and listened to Solo. Probably a solid year.
That, and then along with Anakin's theme is also a mostly peaceful theme throughout. The love theme from Anakin and Padme from Attack of the Clones and Across the Stars, that's another big one that I will also just sit and listen to. Rogue One, surprisingly, has some really, really pretty themes that I also love listening to. I think it's that Guardians of the Will Suite, and then Your Father Would Be Proud, Hope, Jyn Erso, and Hope Suite. All of that, it's just incredibly beautiful music that I think even non-Star Wars fans appreciate. It's nice to have that ambience and kind of sit back and relax. During high school, there would be a lot of times where I would have either a stressful day or a lot going on, and I would put on headphones and I would fall asleep to that music. And I am a lucid dreamer. And y'all, if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's someone that's pretty much mentally aware throughout their dreams. Now, that can mean a few different things. You're either completely aware and you can control your dreams, almost in a cinematic way, or you're at least fully awake in a sense where I wake up and I can remember everything I dreamed about. And so what would happen is sometimes where I would fall asleep to that music, I would then dream about being Han Solo or being in Star Wars, and it would be the coolest experience. And that was a great way for music to kind of calm me down, especially on days where I was not feeling it. So I do quite frequently listen to that.
That's really cool. I agree. Rogue One has some of my favorite scores in there, for sure. Especially, yeah, we were just rewatching that recently, and I was like, oh, like it's been so long since I've listened to scores. But I'll probably go back. I have a whole playlist of my favorites.
I didn't realize, and I'm really sad that I never put this together a while back, but Michael Giacchino, who the 501st got to interview not too long ago, who did that score, he has a really great track record. I mean, he has the new orchestral, like, Mission Impossible theme. He also did Ratatouille, which I absolutely loved that score. And even when I was traveling throughout France or I was driving through the countrysides, I would put Ratatouille, some of the themes on and just let it play. He also did one of my all-time, probably my favorite theme ever, and it's the Up theme. And the Up theme, that is, in my opinion, the greatest orchestral, like, cinema theme. And so, yeah, he's got a great track record.
Yeah, that is a good theme. I
It's so
Up.
good.
What do you think of the movie Up?
I think it's easily top 3 for best animated movies of all time. And especially, it's so embarrassing to admit, but as someone that has been through miscarriage and that type of pain, I know the beginning really sucks for everyone, but for me, especially after experiencing that, it hits on a completely different level where I never thought I would be this soft, but there are some days where I have to skip that beginning just because I can't get through it. Up is a beautifully well-crafted movie with an amazing soundtrack. I think it's up there with Iron Giant, and maybe Spider-Verse for pretty much the best animated movies of all time. I love Up. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's a good one. So, when it comes to Star Wars, well, first, I have a couple questions for you, but first, what's your favorite Star Wars series?
This is a tough one. I know normally the giveaway answer would be Clone Wars, but I'll be honest, I loved it when I watched it, but I don't remember much of it. I feel like there was so much that went on. I do remember very select moments and stuff like that, but there are some days where I don't even remember who Fives and Echoes are, like the difference. Really embarrassing to admit, but I could visually tell the difference, but if we're just talking in conversation, those two are just like, it's all blended in my head. I've got to say that my favorite series, and I feel like this is a dead giveaway, excluding Season 3, I feel like Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 are the best Star Wars that we have gotten since the original trilogy. Besides Andor, I forgot about that. Oh, man, that's rough. Andor and Mandalorian Season 1 and 2.
Don't forget about Rebels. I know you love that show.
No. There's no forgetting about Rebels. Listen, no, I didn't forget Rebels whatsoever. I'll be honest. I'll be thorough. I hate Rebels. I can't stand Rebels. So many people I've watched be
I
like,
know.
well, you haven't watched it? Like, there's no way. No. I ain't going to hear all that. I tried getting through Season 1.
Wait, did you finish it?
No.
I can't remember asking. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Why? No, absolutely not. I tried through Season 1 before finally I got to the last episode. And I'm like, I want to claw my eyes out. I'm like, this is not good. I don't understand how people can think it's good. And that's not speaking about Seasons 2 through however the hell many that somehow got greenlit. I cannot stand Rebels. I don't like the animation style. People are like, oh, Ralph McQuarrie, it's his concept art. People love Ralph McQuarrie. I love Ralph McQuarrie. His vision literally almost inspired the entirety of what Star Wars is. That doesn't mean it makes a good animated show. It sucks. I'm sorry. I hate to say that. I'm so glad that they got James Earl Jones back to voice Darth Vader. I'm so glad that, Ahsoka got all this great attention. And I'm so glad that the weird little Rebels crew with the purple elephant that flies really well got his attention. I'm so glad for that, but I'll be honest, I really don't care. I don't think the show is good. I don't like the world between worlds. I think that's the dumbest thing. The moment we start adding time travel into Star Wars is where things really get screwed up. And then there's somebody, it's not time travel, it's not this, it's a different world, it's a different dimension. It's time travel, okay? I don't care how much Force mumbo jumbo or how much Dave Filoni is like, oh, well, we've got this, it's, it's time travel, and it sucks. Time travel screwed with Marvel.
Was that your Dave Filoni impression?
No, that was like my annoyed nerd / Dave Filoni impression. It was like a combination.
I heard a little bit of it in there.
He was in there, yeah.
Yeah,
it wasn't full, but it was in there a little bit.
It's your impression of a nerd doing an impression of Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't stand Rebels. I can't stand any of it. I don't like the show. And people are like, well, you got to get to season 2, 3, and 4. It's worth the grind. No. Andor season 1 was a grind that was well paid off with season 2. Still a quality season 1. It's an adult show. Rebels, I don't get it. Season 1, oh my god, it's so criminally awful that I just can't get to seasons 2, 3, and whatever else they've got going on because I don't care. And people are like, well, you can't enjoy Ahsoka. I loved Ahsoka. I loved the series. I loved Ezra, and I loved all the characters that were in it. Rebels still sucks. I don't care. I don't like it. I'm not going to hide my feelings on this one.
Yeah, hey, I mean, that's what we're here for, is if you have an opinion, you share it. If you do something, if you don't like something, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I just got to say, I loved that. Every minute of it.
Yeah, you're very passionate about that.
Because it's so frustrating that there's this current generation of Star Wars fans that act like that. There's people on TikTok that say that Rebels is better than Clone Wars. No! It's not. We're not. I'm not even going to have that conversation if it's good or not. I'm definitely not having the conversation if it's better than Clone Wars or not. Are we serious? Clone Wars?
No, I get that. Like, there's no way that Rebels is better than Clone Wars.
No, it's not in the same conversation. It shouldn't even. Oh my god, it's like gross, ugly fan fiction. I hate it. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I'll be real.
You definitely just made someone very mad. Someone
good.
out there. Yeah.
Good. I fear Rebels fans as much as I fear ants on the street when I'm walking to my car. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't like Rebels. I got beef with people that love Rebels and think it's the best Star Wars thing ever. We got problems. I don't care. I don't like Rebels.
You're just gonna take them out in your Darth Vader cosplay?
Yes, I'll truck them too while we're at it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I understand that because I used to hate Rebels too. Like, I really did, and I hated Kanan.
Kanan looks stupid. His face looks stupid. His animation looks stupid. All of their lightsabers, Kanan and Ezra's, whatever, Ezra's lightsaber is literally the ugliest thing I have seen in my life. And I've seen some pretty awful things.
The gun one?
Oh, it looks like
that
a
one?
Weird, like, paper... I don't even... It looks like a... I hate it. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, Glock saber, oh, it's so cool. He can shoot. Woo! It's so stupid.
You know what it looks like? A nail gun.
Yes, it looks like
That's
a nail
what it
gun.
looks like. Yeah.
People are like, oh, that's in universe. Star Wars uses grimy tools and all this, but I don't care, okay? It sucks. It's stupid.
Now, see, I liked Rebels.
I really did.
But if you hated it, I don't care.
Wow. Oh, boy.
Yeah, because I used to really not like Rebels, and I stopped watching, like, I think halfway during season 2 or something.
So you never
like
finished
that.
it?
No, I did finish
she
it
did.
eventually,
Oh.
and now I do like it.
Oh.
Not every part
you
of
can
it.
leave now. You're just like, I'm out of here.
I'll take
Now
the
I
smoke
do
on
like
this
it,
one.
but like
don't
I
care.
do like Kanan now, his character and things like that. But yeah. So, but I understand where you're coming from.
I can't. Like, people said Game of Thrones was a slow season 1. No, that was art. It was beautiful, okay? I watched season 1 and I'm like, that's a slower one to get to the later seasons. No. Rebels has a slow season 1. It has a garbage season 1.
I mean, I can't argue with you on that. It was very slow. The difference is it just sounds like the show as a whole just rubbed you the wrong way. And
It did.
it's like that for some people, certain shows, like it's just a big no.
Yeah.
And Rebels is yours. It's so funny that it happens to be like such a loved show. And they just,
I don't know why. It's Hera and Kanan, if that's her name, I think, right? With the Twilight. Yeah. I was on a podcast not too long ago, and they'd asked me about their relationship, and when I was ranking Star Wars relationships, I didn't even mention them. And people are like, how couldn't you mention them? Because I'm like, because I don't like Rebels, and I don't care about Rebels. I don't. And they're like, well, it's a good relationship. I'm like, I don't care. It didn't happen if I didn't see it. It's not my problem. I'm ranking Anakin and Padme over that relationship because the show sucked. I don't care if they were happy and they died happy. I would rather take a relationship where Anakin choked out his wife than a show like Rebels. I'm sorry, I don't care. No, I no. Rebels.
That is so interesting. I know we've talked about this before. You were not as passionate about it last time.
No, Rebels gets me worked up. God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
I will say one more thing to add before we move on. One thing that like got me the worst out of Rebels was the theme. I could not stand, and I still cannot stand the theme. I agree with you
on that. The theme does need serious help.
Their ship is ugly. The theme is ugly. The animation is ugly. The characters, once again, are all ugly. I don't know if I mentioned that. Even Darth Vader, they made him look ugly. Oh, he looks like the concept art. No, he looks like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Shaquille O'Neal went on Ozempic and got in a Vader suit. Really? We've got Ozempic lightsabers, too, while we're at it. We have people flying with lightsabers. And people are defending this show? People flying with lightsabers. Is this Grand Theft Auto Online? Really? Really? And people are like, well, you trying to apply realism and logic into Star Wars? It's like, yes, because a set universe can still have rules. And someone flying around with their Ozempic lightsaber does not look good. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's not real, like, if realism doesn't exist, because you've got a series with space wizards and all that, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Space wizards look more realistic than flying lightsabers, okay? That's just, cool.
I don't have anything else other to say than, props to you for being so passionate about it.
Yeah, I love Star Wars, believe me.
And at least you researched on what exactly it is you don't like about it.
Yeah, I'm never going to sit there and trash on something that I just, know little about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, moving on. Unless you have anything else to say about it. I'm sure you do.
Last thing.
Okay.
I get it's artistic, and I know there's whatever. The last fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul didn't need to happen that way. And it being one little slash, it's because he was channeling Qui-Gon at first, and then he was doing his old Obi-Wan versus new Obi-Wan. I've seen the clip of Sam Witwer breaking it down, and it's like, it's so genius. I'm sorry, the show sucked. That scene sucked. Sam, you did a great job portraying Darth Maul. Once again, the show sucked. I'm sorry.
Mic drop. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's step away from Rebels.
Please.
And I know you love talking about it.
I feel my heart rate.
Spike.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So outside of movies and shows, let's move towards like the books and stuff. How familiar are you with them?
Oh boy. Books are my other passionate subject that I absolutely love. On the previous podcast that I had run with my friend Brendan at the time, he was a big reader. He was big into the lore and all the nerdy aspects of Star Wars. And it's funny that I say nerdy aspect because we're all nerds. But like, people that are like consider themselves lore masters, especially on TikTok, like, oh my god, it is a different level of take a shower. And sometimes when it came to his opinions and his knowledge of the books, and this is not just him, I mean, I'm talking like general book fans, that's how I feel. I'm not going to pretend like a lot of the times I joke that I was illiterate and that's why I wouldn't read these books. But the main reason that I really wouldn't read these books is because, number one, and this is the most important thing, majority of the time they don't mean anything to the universe. And I say that not to disrespect the writing or to disrespect the books. My problem is, and I got this complaint from him a lot, especially since the Disney era, there have been a lot of times where, media, whether it was comics or books, would come out and something would happen in universe that was a really important story point. Just for example, I think one of the recent things that happened, there was a comic where Yoda's lightsaber had gotten destroyed, as far as we were aware. And Book of Boba Fett had retconned that when Luke had handed Grogu the choice between whatever the Beskar thing, I don't remember, and then his Yoda's lightsaber. Mm-hmm. We were under the impression that it destroyed. Now that's a very minor detail, but I would hear complaints from my friend Brendan and then just people overall on how often the books are literally just thrown out. They'll get written and then a new series will come out or a new live action piece that completely disregards that. And it's like it never meant anything. Even recently with Andor season 1 and 2, there was some dude, I don't know who it was, but he had written a backstory for K2SO. And Tony Gilroy had heard about that and said, yeah, I'm not paying attention to that. That's stupid. And he just completely rewrote over that. This is not the first time that this has happened. And so I'm not going to sit there and put effort into a story that doesn't actually have any weight on the universe. And I understand that a lot of people have their own headcanons and whatever, and there might still be quality stories. I just don't want to put in the effort and time to get invested into a Star Wars story that I'm told is part of this universe. And then months or years later, some director comes along and says, oh yeah, we don't care about any of that. That doesn't matter. Because I'd seen it happen time and time again. If we're talking about pre-Disney era, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the extended universe stories, they kind of sucked. Like, they really weren't all that great. You have a lot of disjointed stories that were just thrown all over the place that really didn't follow any of the same, storyline or universe whatsoever. And so it was just kind of all over the place, extended universe. There are still good stories. I read a book on Darth Maul, and then I read Shatterpoint, I think it's called, about Mace Windu. Mm-hmm. But it just kind of sucks because at the end of the day, like, none of those stories, I guess it's all make-believe, I guess it's all not real, but, like, in terms of, like, the Star Wars universe that we know and love, a lot of that just ends up not being real. And so I haven't been able to get invested or take the time out of my day to read because it's just like, I don't really know if this has any weight on the universe that I care about. I might as well just sit and make up my own stories in my head because that's just as canon in some of the books that are coming out.
Right, yeah. No, I totally get that because a lot, especially after Disney bought the company, a lot of things were retconned. That's a whole conversation in and of itself. Is just now there's a bunch of debates going on what's canon, what's not, what should be canon, and what is. It's wild, especially if you start talking to other content creators about it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree, but I haven't read a ton of Star Wars stories. The ones I have read, I believe, are still canon. Not all of them. There's a lot of things that I've read I can't even remember the names of. So now whenever we're recording or something, I'm like, I say, take this with a grain of salt because it's probably not true anymore. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree. There's so many really good stories in there, but then it's just the whole decanonizing, retconning things is there's a lot of that going on. Mm-hmm. Which is it is irritating. Like it used to be an officially licensed book or whatever. That isn't anymore. Yeah.
And so you see all these little nerds who then, like I said, they take their time, they really dive into these books and get invested. And they're like, well, this is the story. This is how blah, blah, blah came to be and whatever. And I experienced this with Jango Fett. This was obviously still extended universe, but a lot of his story and everything. And that's the worst part is they don't even sometimes know how to keep canon in their own universe. Like Dave Filoni, for example, I'm going to hop right into this. As far as we're aware, Boba Fett's armor is the same as Jango Fett's. That's the current established story. That's what we have. Except in his own show that Dave Filoni produced, as far as I'm aware, even this episode, Boba Fett blew up Jango Fett's helmet in an attempt to kill Mace Windu. So, like, even in their own live action or animated shows, they don't necessarily know how to keep canon solid to begin with. So that's why, like I said, I'm just not going to get invested in the books because they have been shown a lot more disrespect than sometimes the own visual media, and to me it's just not worth my time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is getting complicated. And we don't have to get into it, but most people know now, like, we're not big fans of Disney Star Wars. That's just us. You don't have to share your opinion.
Oh boy.
You can if you want. But yeah, it's taken a wild turn. Not to say they don't put out things that are very good. I really loved, like, The Mandalorian, season 1 and 2. It was absolutely amazing. But yeah, I mean, as they keep doing things, Acolyte, I know. A lot of people already know our opinion on that. I didn't finish it. It was terrible. But yeah, it's complicated. It's complicated.
That's where my fracture with the fandom as a whole has come as of recent. I'll say this. Force Awakens, since Disney has purchased Star Wars, I love Force Awakens. I thought it was a great start to the franchise. Yeah, it repeated a lot of elements of New Hope, but I was really excited about where we were going. It felt like it had prequel-level quality visually, but we had good dialogue, and we had natural chemistry from actors that we did not get in the prequels. I love the prequels, but that dialogue is not good. It hasn't aged even well to this point. And you can tell some of the actors really don't have chemistry. Whereas with at least Force Awakens, I remember people were so hyped about the dynamic between Finn and Poe coming out of Force Awakens. It's all I heard about is like, oh, Disney wrote better dialogue between two friends than they could ever for Anakin and Padme, or than George Lucas did for Anakin and Padme. And so people were really riding high after Force Awakens. Could not stand The Last Jedi. I still hate that movie. I hate that more than Rebels.
That's saying a lot
saying a
for
lot.
you.
That's saying a lot. Rise of Skywalker, like, I don't hate it because I don't acknowledge it. I think it just was kind of so painfully not good. But it wasn't as, like, bad as The Last Jedi, I think, is bad at being bad. But Rise of Skywalker wasn't even good at being bad. It just was like, what are we doing here? And that's where I was still with consensus on most of the fandom. I think those are the general mass opinions on those movies. When it comes to Mandalorian, also, I loved seasons 1 and 2. I think most of the fandom did. Book of Boba, I don't think people did. I didn't. Acolyte is where I kind of split from the mass opinion on that one. I know you all hate that. I know you can't stand it, but at least for me, I'm not going to say it's the best series ever, but I enjoyed it. I think there were a lot of really great things, even though there were also some bad things. I don't think it's sacrilegious or it's an offense to Star Wars. I like Acolyte more than I do Rebels. I'll be real. I hate saying that out loud. I really do. But I enjoyed Acolyte more than I did Rebels. That's just me. Ahsoka was great. At least I thought. Even though I didn't understand some of the characters.
Yeah, I wonder why.
And then I
Rebels.
feel like Andor's season 1 and 2 were generally, like, the mass majority absolutely loved it. So Acolyte is where I really split. I'm overall really positive with Disney's Star Wars. It's got its hiccups, don't get me wrong. But I'm at least positive in the direction they're going. And the only reason I can say that is because I really don't like looking at the George Lucas era and people acting like it's perfect. There are so many hiccups. I mean, the Star Wars Holiday Special, I'll be real, Disney hasn't released anything that bad. It has not.
Yeah.
And so for people to act like the George Lucas era is perfect, and like he's this untouchable figure, it's not. His era had just as many issues.
I think the difference with it, this is my perspective, is the Disney, to me it seems like it's just like they just want money, and they're trying to do fan service.
Do you think
and
George
things
Lucas
like that.
didn't want money?
Oh no, he definitely did. But the heart for like his storytelling was there. You know what I mean? Like he made the movies. He had a story he wanted to tell. And I'm not saying like Disney, they have people on board on their team, who are very passionate about Star Wars. I'm not saying like Disney as a whole, like they're screwed. It's just there was more of a pattern with Disney's track record of them making, more like they'll make mistakes and then realize it was, it was problematic, especially when it came to the sequels. The Last Jedi in particular, just kind of created to split the fandom versus like George Lucas. He had flaws. obviously, and
Yeah.
of course he wanted money out of his films, but he also, like, his heart was there for his characters. So that's my opinion on it. Everyone has their own opinion, but when it comes to George Lucas, I love the stories that he was telling.
Yeah, and that I respect. But like it's split for me because while I understand that George, the great thing about the prequels is that you can say whatever you want about the dialogue, you can say whatever you want about the story. At least it was streamlined. You could tell very early on that George had at least mostly planned it out. And I'm not going to pretend that the original trilogy wasn't planned out or was properly planned out. And so the sequels should have absolutely been planned out, but you can't compare the trilogies because, like I said, George did not know that Luke and Leia were going to be siblings, and that was very painfully apparent. So it wasn't all perfectly planned out. It would have been in Disney's and Lucasfilm's best interest to then pursue forward with a trilogy when you know you have the money and the funding to make 3. Similar to what they did with the prequels, you've got to plan that out ahead of time, and it was very obvious they didn't. I still think each director had a story that they wanted to tell, and that's where I do slightly differ. I don't think that any of the Star Wars that we've had come out since the Disney era was just to make money. And that's where I differ from a lot of people. I recognize that even George Lucas made a lot of decisions and he did a lot of things just to make money. His merchandise and everything like that, especially for the sequels or the prequels, was nuts. Some of the ideas and some of the characters that he would literally make just to sell toys. Like, that was the original joke before the Disney era came along. Is during that prequel era, people were so dead set on, oh, George is destroying our childhood. People thought Jango Fett was only there just to sell toys, just to give people another Mandalorian. And so people were also really disappointed with Boba Fett's origin backstory because they were sitting there and saying, well, the only reason that we now have another Mandalorian is so that we can sell action figures to kids. That's the same thing they thought about Darth Maul and all that. So it's kind of a revolving circle of, you can absolutely see where someone in Lucasfilm, in those original 6 movies, took the opportunity to say, let's insert this into the story because we want money. But you also can see that plenty in Disney. I just think that both are equally just as guilty of sometimes prioritizing money over the story. Mm-hmm. Harrison Ford would agree with me on that.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, too, like, I know a lot of people who love the sequels and love the new stuff. And I don't want to, like, discredit that and be like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, my opinion isn't better than their opinion, you know? You like whatever show you like or movies you like.
Yeah.
It didn't, for me personally, it didn't hit the same as the originals and prequels. So, yeah. I mean, everyone has opinions.
No, they do. And it's tough because, like I said, on a lot of it, I get it. I hate The Last Jedi even more than Rebels. I can't stand The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm forever disappointed in Disney for spending, at least I think it was, at minimum, $1 billion on their theme parks to create Star Wars lands. And they locked their Star Wars area in an era that, financially, box office wise, is technically the most profitable, but you can see from a consensus, from like a fan standpoint, the heart's still with the original and the prequel trilogy. And so the fact that Disney spent that much money and locked themselves in a time period which fans really, I'm gonna be honest, aren't that crazy about. You have your franchise and you spent billions of dollars and you created a park where you can't feature Darth Vader, who is your most popular character. That was where they screwed up. That is what people need to get on Disney about.
Yeah, I definitely agree about that. Because that was pretty disappointing. Because I was fairly young when they first opened Galaxy's Edge. And so, like, going and seeing sequels things versus, like, prequels was it was a letdown.
And that's the sad thing, is what's there isn't bad. I'll be incredibly real about that. Smuggler's Run, flying the Millennium Falcon for the first time is an experience I will never forget for the rest of my life. Rise of the Resistance is an incredible attraction. And Kylo Ren walking around, not my favorite character, but he's a great character interaction. It's not about what isn't, or it's not about what is there is the problem with Galaxy's Edge. It's what could have been and what they could have spent money on and what they could have prioritized or given to fans. And I also see, and this applies just to the general broad, and I apologize, I'm really going off here, but a lot of people will sit there and say that the fans, especially Star Wars fans, act entitled, especially when they give their opinions about Disney Star Wars or even some of the newer stuff. People will say, well, you are asking for this or you're not happy with this project. It's just not meant for you. Or you're entitled if you expect Star Wars to come out with something. That's not entitlement. That's called being a customer. Star Wars exists because fans have funded it for decades. Star Wars exists because fans have spent their time, their money, their literal blood, sweat, and tears on this universe that they have a passion for. It's not being an entitled fan to expect quality media or something that would cater to you as a whole. It's just called being a customer. This is an entertainment industry. This isn't an entertainment venue. I don't think it's entitled to have an expectation to continue receiving media that you would like. But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. I mean, solid opinion, too. I don't disagree with you. Real quick, I just got the notification the Mac's gonna die.
Oh!
So, we will have to wrap it up.
So, yeah, record the... what's this outro? What the hell do I have to...
I know. And
I
I was
really
like, we gotta...
ranted. I apologize.
No, not at all. Like, it's a podcast. It's what you do, you know?
Yeah.
You share your opinion. Some people like it, some people won't, and that's okay. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna say it, we're all Star Wars fans, but it's true. At the end of the day, we're just here because we're nerds. So
yeah.
I mean, even with your Rebels opinion, I didn't agree, but I was thoroughly entertained.
it was funny, yeah.
I'm
And which
glad.
is exactly that's what I love about it is we can have wildly different opinions and we're all still friends. You know what I mean?
We will all get along just fine. It's not
Exactly.
that we have a personal hate towards each other, which that's my other problem with Star Wars, but that's a whole rant.
It's a
in
rabbit
itself.
hole. We can have a whole episode for that, yeah.
People have associated identity politics and infused it into Star Wars, and I've literally, at least from what I've seen, I don't know why the left has taken to like this defense of Disney Star Wars, and they're like latching onto it like it's their life. And then I've seen mostly, it's so weird that a lot of conservatives are like diving in on that other side of Star Wars and be like, this is my Star Wars, and it's this clash when it doesn't need to be. But it's really weird how it kind of split that way.
Yeah. It is interesting, and I mean we've experienced that firsthand. A lot of DMs, a lot of comments.
From those two Fruit Loops, I got attacking you. They started attacking me now. They went and commented on my post with Theory a really long time ago, and they've been DMing me. It's like it's nuts. I took a picture of the guy. I didn't say that he was Moses. Like,
yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it comes with being a content creator, being open to sharing your opinions for anybody who cares to hear. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen, and
Not
I'm
everyone's
always open.
respectful.
Like, I'll listen to everyone's opinions. I'm not completely closed off. Like, no, I don't want to hear my opinion's right. No, it's an opinion. It doesn't make it right or wrong. So
Yeah. I'm that way with everyone except on Rebels. Then my opinion's right.
sure. We're gonna change your mind about that someday.
No.
Yeah, it's
No.
gonna happen.
I'll die before I change my opinion on Rebels.
We're gonna see. I have that on record. We'll see.
Good.
Anyways, we should wrap up. This computer is going to die, but it was lovely having you on.
Of course.
It was great talking to you.
It's lovely being
Great
here.
hearing your rants, your stories,
Oh, no.
all of that stuff. You're always welcome to come back.
I
Seriously.
would be more than happy to pop in anytime you'll have me.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing more interviews lately and stuff, and if you ever want to come on for an episode review of Rebels or anything, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I mean, literally anytime y'all have me. I'm not saying I want to become a permanent member, but I've always wanted to be part of the podcast scene. So just take me in whenever you'll have me. So
Maybe if we do a Rebels
Yeah, it's gonna be
rewatch
our
or
Rebels
something.
rewatch for sure.
okay, well, never mind then. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that
oh my
one.
gosh. Yeah. Well, anyway, before we head out, to everyone watching, where can they find you?
So you
Shameless
can pretty
plug
much
time.
find me on any of my socials under the username Noah J Maurer. That's my name. It's as easy as you're going to find it. I am on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I am on YouTube, which is a brand new thing that I've kind of really kicked off in these past few months, and I've gotten some really great support over that, so I do appreciate. I'm really looking forward to creating like Disney Parks content, more cosplay, and like Star Wars and 501st vlogs. It's been a blast to explore the YouTube side of things, and the sport so far has been really great, so I appreciate that. But you can pretty much find me anywhere at Noah J. Maurer.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for watching or listening. Until next time, I have spoken.
Yub nub.